right, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Red Room podcast. Today, I have someone very special and close to my heart. I'd hope so. This is my mom, Bobbie Ward.
Here I am.
Hi, Mom. How you doing?
Hi, honey. Hi, son. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Thanks for being episode
Hey,
number 2.
thanks for having me on. This is a deal.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. So a little fun stuff about my mom here. She is a professional singer. She runs her vocal business called Performance Vocal and has been doing this for how many years now?
About 27 years.
About 27 years.
Yeah.
And before that, she was touring all over the country, performing with real big names such as like Jan and Dean and Bob Hope and cruise ships from all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's kind of like jump into it and how you got into music, Mom.
You want to know how I got into
Let's
music?
hear the story.
Okay, well, here's the story. So, you know your papa.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we
That's my
lost
grandfather.
him. Yeah, we lost him back in 2008. But when I was
When the housing market crashed.
That's
that was
right.
a lot of fun.
There you go.
Because this is a real estate podcast with life.
So you put that in there?
So there we go. So yes, right during the housing crash.
Right. So your grandfather was, guitar player when he was younger and a singer. And unfortunately, his rhythm was not the best. And part of that was due to the fact that he had a piano player that would accompany him when he was singing for his high school that would just follow him rather than making him wait 2, 3, 4, but had a fabulous voice. And he eventually started playing guitar, and so his rhythm got better. And so when I was a little girl, he started working at Channel 11. Now, remember, that was the thing where he sent out 200 resumes after graduating from San Jose State, right? And 2 came back. One said, sorry, no work here. The other one said, part-time announcer director at KNTV Channel 11, and it'll be for the summer only because this guy's taking a sabbatical, but then he'll be back.
So just for our viewers right now, KNTV Channel 11 right now is the NBC Bay Area news station. So when KNTV came into play, what year was this?
Oh, you're going to ask me that. I knew you were going to ask me that. Well, it actually started as not an ABC affiliate. It was an independent station, and they became an affiliate. We'll have to look up what year that was because I was probably a little baby and don't remember. Or I'm not even sure I was born when that happened. But the ABC affiliate thing came later. And it was on the same property that the Sunlight Bakery was. It was on Park Avenue in San Jose. They've since moved someplace else, I think, or they might have just rebuilt the building. But yeah, so that's where that is. So Papa started working for them as an announcer director. And there were some shows that kind of popped up that your Papa decided to create. One of them was called the Buckaroo 500 Show. Another one was called Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus, great show.
Yes, he's the clown, and we have a park in Scotts Valley that's named after him.
Yeah,
going through Grandma's house, because we're doing that right now. I saw that hand. Was it by him? Was it a drawing
he painted.
He painted himself?
He was a painter, Hocus Pocus. Yeah. In fact, he was also Santa Claus at Santa's Village in Scotts Valley.
Whoa.
Yeah, so there's some history there. Anyway, Buckaroo was a show that involved some farm animals, and Buck himself was a cowboy kind of down in the Gilroy area. I'm pretty sure he approached Papa for the idea for the show, but it would be farm animals and kids sitting on the edge of a little western fence, and Dixie the dog would do some incredible tricks. I have the book somewhere, so the cover of the book, so you can insert that in here somewhere and show everyone. But became a really fun little show. And so your Papa decided that because he was a singer, right, that he would write a song. And so he did. And he taught it to me. But mind you, I was 3.5, maybe 4. And they put me on camera, and Buck interviewed me, and he said, so I understand there's, a song that your daddy has written, and you know it. And so I'm not sure if I've got the video someplace for that, but somebody started strumming. I heard music somewhere, or I just randomly started singing, Buck and Palm want you for their pal in the Buckaroo 500 corral. But now, mind you, I was a little girl, so he kind of had to keep egging me on. Buck kept trying to get me to sing the rest of the song.
Go ahead, the word. Palm and Buck. Loud. buckaroo, 500 careers. What's the rest? Wait. Be fair in everything. A little louder, please. Be kind, and you're a buckaroo. Say your prayers, mind, mom, and dad. What? Just be good, and then you can be bad. What's red? To a friend, a cowboy is true. Do these things, and you're a what? Buckaroo. Hey, that's right. That's the words of a first brand new song. It's never been rehearsed before, and we'll be back to sing maybe the second verse right after this message.
And I didn't get quite all the way to the end because I was fascinated by all that. There's where the ADHD kicks in because I kept looking at all the animals.
I know where I got it from.
Yeah, all the animals were there and it was so fascinating. So that was kind of the start. I was 4. And so Papa soon realized that I could sing. Your uncle, Brett, who had left us in 78 in a plane crash, unfortunately, was so proud of me when I was little that he took me around and showed me to all of our neighbors in Highland Park Lane in Campbell and said, my sister can sing, you need to hear her sing. And so he would have me sing and I would be so proud and I would sing and he'd be the proud big brother and he'd take me around. And in fact, one of the people that worked with you on one of those pilots that you were working on actually was one of the people that my brother walked up with me and introduced him to me so that I could sing for him. He told me that story. It was rather cute. So I kept singing, kept singing all the way through middle school, high school, elementary school. I did a lot of singing at just different little things and it became solos and careers. And then pretty soon, one day I was spotted somewhere and an agent said, hey, let's book her. Let's start putting her on tour. So we put a band together called Cimarron. And Cimarron, yeah.
It's an interesting name.
Yes, yeah. Well, your papa, I think, with his marketing techniques, grabbed that one out of somewhere. I'm not sure if that wasn't a television show or it was the name of something that he remembered and liked. And so we had Tom Tomasello and Janine O'Neill and, oh my gosh, there was Mike and a bunch of different people that played in the band. And so I started a tour and I opened in county fairs for a lot of major stars. But the first person who actually put me on prior to this, and this is where I was discovered, was Bill Smethers at the Santa Clara County Fair. And he had a number of programs for young people. And we would do, 14 days at the fair. And we would be on stage on these little stages all over the place 5 times a day, running around, singing to cassette tapes. Best training anybody can ever have is being put in front of a fair audience because you find out that they'll just leave. If you're not entertaining and you're not keeping them happy and they're just gonna move on. So I keep telling voice students that today. It's like, if we're outside at an outside event, you gotta keep it upbeat and fun, right?
So for Bill Smithers, he was the gentleman that headed the Youth Focus program.
Yes.
For everyone in the whole state, California. I mean, at the California State.
He did a lot of stuff with pageants and competitions. He did the California State Talent Competition, which was huge every year over Memorial Day weekend. It was for dancers, singers,
and
groups
then there'd be
and
scholarships too that would go to all the young kids trying to get into college and stuff like that.
When he was the general manager of the Santa Clara County Fair, so he had all these buildings at his beck and call, and he would just do all these programs for kids and youth, and he was amazing. And if it had not been for him, honestly, I would not be half the performer that I am today, just because the man was so intent on getting us up there to sing.
So he's getting you up on stage.
A lot, yes.
And you're performing. And then when was that kind of like that moment where you're like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. Kind of.
Is after when you got one of the little crowns?
One of the crowns, yeah. There's two of those. I evolved, actually. It kind of evolved slowly but surely. One thing just kind of led to another. And, before I knew it, I was opening for Bob Hope and George Burns and Danny Thomas and Robert Goulet and numerous people at the Santa Clara County Fair, which then led to the agent, which then led to me opening for, people all over the country.
Yeah, that was fun seeing Robert backstage at what was it? South Pacific? Was he in? It was.
Oh, Robert Goulet. You were little, yes.
I remember meeting him.
It was South Pacific, yeah.
So we went backstage, and I forget how you made that happen, but we got backstage and we hung out with him and talked with him, and he remembered you.
He did, yeah. So I sent a note backstage. I brought the pictures of us back when I did a tour with him. I did a Bay Area tour with him, and I would open for him for like 30 minutes, and then there'd be a little break, and then he would come on. But it was called the Peninsula Tour. He's funny man. He is Canadian, so there's a story about him singing the national anthem and kind of messing up the lyrics. So one time he says, "Oh, Bobbie, go up in the balcony." We were at the Paramount Theater up in Oakland, and I was going to test the sound and see what it sounded like. And I said, "Okay." So I go up into the balcony, and I said, "Go ahead and sing." And he goes, "Okay, what do you want me to sing?" I go, "Do the national anthem." He started laughing, quite funny. But when we were seeing him as a family, I put him, I sent pictures backstage and said, "Do you mind sending these to him? Because we did work together and it would be really nice for him to meet my family." And so that's what happened is he did that. Worked that way for Kathy Rigby too, because we worked together. Yeah.
And then it's kind of funny. It's like the complete opposite. So we went and saw, and I was backstage with him, Dean from Jan and Dean. And it was a funny moment. We're backstage after the concert, and you're like, "Dean, and you showed him the photo of you and Jan and him when you were younger. You had your crown on. You're like, "Do you remember this at all?" And he's just like, "Honestly, there were so many women." He's like, "We took pictures of thousands of girls." I don't remember anything. But it was cool. He signed it.
He did. I know. At least we got his. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. What a fun guy.
So much history. Oh my word.
So you're touring all over the place. You're opening up for all of these, big people, and then some of the big people are opening up for you too. That are
right. Right. You're gonna make me think of who that person is. It was a very famous country singer out there right now. He's married to Amy Grant, right? And I was asked to sing at an event at the Santa Cruz Ballroom down by the boardwalk. And then all of a sudden, this guy walks in, and the guy singing after us was as famous as well, from Greece. Oh my gosh, my brain is going to go. Frankie, yes.
Valley?
Avalon.
Oh, Avalon.
Avalon, right? Frankie Avalon, yeah. So he was there, and he was going to be the main person, and then I was going to be opening up for Frankie, and then Vince Gill was going to be opening for me. And we had no idea who this Vince Gill guy was. Not a clue. I mean, I knew I was touring. I was doing these things. We were just chatting away and having a great time. And all of a sudden, Vince Gill walks in, and I was like, "Oh, there he is, strumming his guitar." I mean, he was great. He was fine. And then not much, probably more than a year later, he broke.
Yeah.
And he broke kind of in a big way.
Yeah. So you do all this, and then long story short, you meet Dad, and you settle down. You have me, and then your daughter, who's about to get married to Jaron, who was on episode 1.
Yes, such a handsome guy.
And then you reach this point where you wanted to teach.
Yes.
What kind of what was that thought process of you going out and performing and then saying, "You know what, I want to help the next generation kind of come on up"?
Right. So, well, I gave up my career. I was about ready to sign on the dotted line, right, myself with a huge record company, when I took a step back and said, I don't think this is what I want to do with the rest of my life, because I wanted to have kids. I wanted to be home so that if I messed up those kids, that I could take the blame for it, not some nanny, right? So, no parents are not perfect. They make mistakes, but I wanted to at least be there to make the mistakes and at least take the credit for it, other than being the parent that was gone 200 days, a year on tour. So I stepped back and I just said, you know what, I'm done. I had gotten my degree in radio and television and film with a minor in music. I'd gone to UCLA and San Jose State. I had some great college life in between all of the chaos of the singing and touring and television. I had, I'd done some great stuff. I was on Lawrence Welk, and I was on Nashville Now with Ralph Emery, and I was on a show called Fantasy with Jill Whelan from The Love Boat. So there had been a lot of things that had happened, and I was gonna sign that line, and I said, nope, gonna be a mom. So I set out to find my person. And that was my goal, was to find that person. And I did when I met your dad.
Yeah, 3 dates, they're engaged.
Yeah, that's
it's one of those stories that, my sister and I all throughout our lives were like dating people. And then it's like, we're on date 4 and we're like, we should be engaged at this point.
Yes.
So it's like one of these stories that, nobody believes.
But happened.
But it happened. Here you are.
Here we are. So we got married, and then, I still would sing occasionally. I was still doing a few things.
Dad sings too, so
he
that's
sings.
fun.
That was helpful.
So now you both are singing.
We sang a duet for our wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at one point I had a neighbor, when we moved over to the home in Scotts Valley, there was a neighbor that approached me and said, you've done this, you've done that, you opened for this person, you toured here, you did this. And, why aren't you teaching? And I kind of went, well, there's a thought. It might be actually kind of fun. So Blair was maybe around 5-ish. You probably were 7, close to 8. And I thought, okay, 1 day a week. I started with the one student. And then it led to 2, and then it led to 3, and then 4 and 5
who were
and
those?
6.
Who are those people?
Oh gosh, don't even ask now. I can tell you Nikki Watkins was one of them.
And then there's a story with her we want to talk about too.
Yes, yeah. And then Brett Johnson, who's, a famous guy. And then Danielle, she was one of my earlier students. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of others that didn't stay quite as long. Oh, and Ruth Gonzalez. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she ended up winning talent at the Miss California pageant. She was amazing, singing a beautiful opera song.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of your students have gone off and done like really successful things. So there's Ruth, and then, Nikki.
Yes. Yeah. Nikki's
she's
writing for Disney, Nickelodeon, doing movie themes and editing for television.
Yeah, like
film.
I think iCarly.
Yeah,
Nikki, if we're wrong, just comment in the comment section below.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like
So
iCarly,
many
and she did
shows.
a bunch of things like that. But so it's cool because like you see your students go off and actually accomplish these big things, and then it was fun because what was it, last Christmas or the Christmas? It was last Christmas, right? Were you Sony?
Oh, Sony, yes. Oh gosh, that was a complete accident. That Sony accident. Yeah, your sister had been working at Sony, right? She had been working there. And this was during the pandemic. I had all these kids, and what was I going to do with them? You have to give a child, even an adult, a reason to be taking voice lessons. It's to do a show. You can't just teach them voice and say, okay, go off and do your own thing. You do that with some adults when they're auditioning for a lot of regional theater and things. That's a little different. But with kids, they don't have as many opportunities. And so I thought, what am I going to do? I had this bright idea. I'll take the song Tomorrow from Annie. The sun will come out tomorrow, because we wanted a positive twist. And I'm going to graph all these kids onto a screen. And so I took this whiteboard and I graphed all 25 of these kids onto the screen and told them where they were going to be. Then I had the vocal in their ear, and which we had a matching track to. And then I had the parents, and the parents had to learn how to film. I sent it back so many times to them because you had to have natural lighting. Ring lights weren't out yet, right? So face the lighted window. Parent, you film with your back to the light so that the light is on the child's face. And we filmed this thing, and I had the kids during the instrumental. They knew where they were in the graph, and just like the Brady Bunch, they'd go da 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 dun dun, and they'd be looking at other people, right? And then it would work out that somehow they'd be looking at each other. So if you look up on YouTube performance vocal Tomorrow, it will pop up and you can see it.
Tomorrow, I love you, tomorrow.
got on
really
the
cute.
local news station
It
and everything
did.
like
Yeah,
that too.
it did.
KSBW over there.
And then Blair just happened to post it to her Facebook page. And one day she calls me and she goes, "Are you sitting down?" I go, "Sure." "What?" She goes, "Sony wants you." I said, "What? You're kidding." She goes, "No, they saw your video." I go, "Who saw the video from Sony?" Well, one of the VPs happens to be one of her friends on Facebook, saw it and said, "Oh my gosh, let's get them to, come in and do this." So I needed a couple more kids. I had a lot of students, but who was going to be ready to be on camera? They have to be really natural in front of a camera.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, when we're sitting there and we're watching, American Idol and The Voice and everything like that. It's the whole, like it's what your company is. It's performance vocal, which is, yes, there are people out there that can sing and have a great voice, but if you're not entertaining the crowd, I mean, that's the whole other aspect of it, you know? So, I mean, perfect case scenarios like Freddie Mercury. That's the first person that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Like, guy
Quite
was a
the
showman.
entertainer. Yep.
You know what I mean? That whole like dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da, and he's getting the whole crowd to do it. And it's just like, if he
participation.
literally
Yes.
just sat there and just, stood behind a microphone and didn't move and wasn't his, charismatic self that everybody kind of like, knew to love,
Right.
he wouldn't have been what he was.
Right.
It was just, and that's why he's so iconic. So I definitely think that, with all of the experience that you have, and, I'll see some of your kids come out who were nervous as all heck and couldn't sing on pitch, like or key, and they're just off pitch the whole entire time. And then, now they're going to like, all of these real high end like schools and doing music and everything. It's that whole other side to it.
You have to get them past the fear first.
Yeah.
So imagine me taking some of these kids to Sony. A couple of them, God love those babies, a couple of them had just joined the studio 3 weeks earlier. And yet I had students that had been there for a very long time that I could not bring with me. They were not ready. But, imagine me going to the parent that's had the child have the third lesson. And I said, "Surprise, I'm taking you to Sony." You're what? I honestly didn't think. I think that they thought I was crazy and that this thing wouldn't happen. But it did, with the help of a lot of parents getting hotel rooms and organizing things. And then, of course, I call Nikki and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need your daughter. I need this other child," because her daughter is a fabulous singer. She's amazing. She goes, "What do you need?" I told her what was happening. She goes, "Are you going to want to do the pre-records the night before?" I go, "That would really help because Sony wants to do these live. And to be honest, you're going to have a bunch of nervous kids being nervous on camera as it is. So make sure." So she comes with the portable thing. Another student's parents had a studio down there. Our family member had a studio down there. Thanks, Jamie. The Kumar family had friends down there, or family down there that had a place we could record. Nikki brought her portable studio in. We did all the pre-records. Nikki was up all night long, recorded them, fine-tuned them, got them great, sent them to Sony, and the next morning we show up, huge green screen, cameras everywhere, lights, and you were there, you got to come later. But those kids' eyes were as big as saucers, right? They were like, "What did you get us into?" I go, "This is trial by fire, honey. You were going right into
so it was
welcome to Hollywood."
It was a collaboration with the movie that just came out called Lyle Lyle Crocodile.
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
It's
yet.
cute.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to watch it. It's so cute.
Yeah. But it's about a little crocodile and just doing his crocodile things, But and so there was they were singing some of the original songs from the movie, right?
Shawn Mendes's tracks. I still have them. I have Shawn Mendes's empty tracks. I can't use them for anything else because I'd get into trouble, but I have them.
What's up, Shawn?
Yeah. So we have those tracks. And then what we did is break the kids down into two separate groups. And each of those groups did two songs apiece, 4 songs altogether. And they just animated on the camera in front of the green screen. And so if you actually go to YouTube and go to Lyle Lyle Crocodile, the happiest performance of the season.
Yeah.
This was done 2 years ago in December.
YouTube.
Yeah, on Sony's YouTube. So yeah, great experience. Trial by fire. But let me tell you something. Those kids that did that, I do not have trouble with them being on stage because I had to walk up to a couple of them and said, "If you can't smile and come across right now on camera, we're gonna have to pull you from the camera." It got to be that scary. They were over my shoulder going, "I need that one smiling."
Well, I remember looking, in that little studio that they had set up for you. I say little, but not. I mean,
No, I get it.
doing stuff on Days of Our Lives, but I
Right.
mean, they're at a bunch of lights and cameras and
Yes.
everywhere. And it was
Yeah.
just like, 5 or 6 people behind, everything, just being like, okay, go. And, I think that's what a lot of people don't understand with the music industry is like when they're doing stuff like that, you recorded the vocals before,
Right.
but it's like now you're having to teach your kids, okay, now you're going to have to like lip sync because
you really have to sing.
and you literally have to sing and you have
Yeah.
to be exactly on point with the phrasing and everything like that. So it looks like you did the tape,
Yeah.
live, you
Yes.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a whole other art form on its own.
Right, which you've done, right? You've done
Yeah.
some videos yourself, and you're amazing in
Oh
front
yeah,
of
you
the
just
camera.
have the speaker behind the camera and you just play the song.
So amazing.
Yeah.
Back in the day, imagine when playback would happen, it would be on a reel-to-reel, and they would have to lug out some huge reel-to-reel thing just so the vocalist could hear whenever they were on set, wherever that set
Mm-hmm.
was, so they could hear their own voice. You just had your iPhone in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's just
Wild.
amazing what you can do.
Wild.
And then you can line everything up. So
Yeah.
so great stuff, fun. Great stuff.
So now that, like where are you at right now? You got like all these students, you just got done doing all your holiday shows and that's all fun. So
That's all
like,
done.
you're just got a lot of them
Smooth
growing
sailing.
up. Yeah, smooth sailing.
Smooth sailing. It's hard. It's very addictive. And, I don't mind saying I'm 63. I've been doing this for a very long time and singing since I was 4 and been in front of the camera and done so many things. But the most addictive thing I've ever done is teach kids how to sing and how to perform.
Yeah.
And it's the greatest joyful gift that will ever fill my heart. So I don't know that I'll ever be able to like retire. I think there will always be that part of me going, all right, who's around the corner? Right?
Yeah.
Who's next? It's the next little star that's out there, because there's so much talent that has come through my doors that are doing amazing things out there, and have had private auditions for The Voice and private auditions for American Idol, and one that actually was on The Voice, and there's always those extra kids that are coming around the corner that are so amazingly talented, and the parents are going, please, I need your help. And I can't say no. I love them.
Yeah.
It's way too much fun. So I might be 90 years old and still teaching.
I know we got to get you rapping like Blair was saying with those
Right?
British folk on TikTok.
I think I should do those.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, the whole family sings, or like the Von
Yes.
Trapps.
Yes.
Blair doesn't really do it as much anymore, but she's recorded a song for
Yes.
her wedding, so
Yes.
that'll be fun to hear. And she's gonna go record that with one of my really good friends and yours
Yes.
too, Robert Berry.
Yes. Yeah.
Robert is beyond talented. I think it's
Beyond
just
talented guy.
cool. Like, you've had all these great relationships with people, and then you introduce Blair and I to them, and
Tom Tomasello as well. Oh my gosh, my arranger, producer, the guy's amazing.
Yeah.
He does all my shows every year. We go in to do original arrangements with a 5 to 6 piece band, and I sit the kids down and I go, we are not doing this the normal way. You're not going to do it like a karaoke, like you just heard it before. I need modulations and key changes and tempo differences, and we need to make this different so that when you do understand, when you go on to a different show on television, that you have to make it your own, and you have to have your own sound. So sometimes kids come in, their diction, if you were teaching them strictly classical, you would fix it to precisely be the right vowel formation you want it to be. But when you want them to have their own style, if they're doing pop or folk pop or country or rhythm and blues or soul, whatever else it is, some of the vowel formations that they have and some of the accidental formations that they have with their tongue and their lips, we keep them.
Yeah.
I'm like, leave that, because it's you and I want you to be you. But,
Yeah.
So sorry, I got off track there.
Yeah. No, but so anybody that wants voice lessons, and you take people in all different ages,
I
right?
do, yes.
Yeah. If anybody wants vocal lessons from a pro, here's her contact information below. And, feel free to reach out to her. And if you do a deal with me, you get 5% off for life.
Oh,
our little VIP club.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. Those lessons get cheaper.
Yeah. That'd be cool. So,
All right.
real quick too, before we head out here, because yes, this is a real estate podcast too, with a lifestyle podcast. I just wanted to talk briefly.
Yes.
How are you doing with going through grandma and grandpa's house? Is that weird?
It's it's very hard. Yeah. I wish I could, it's very surreal. You think about it your whole life. You're sitting here and someday you'll look back on this interview and you'll be going through a house. And I remember your grandmother saying to me, your Ama, she said to me, I feel sorry for you because this is going to be one ginormous mess. Well, it was a beautiful home, but they did collect a lot of stuff in their travels. And so you start having to go through every single thing that they ever purchased. And what are you going to do with it? Because you could refill your house completely 2 to 3 times with everything that's probably in this home.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's very difficult. You wake up in the middle of the night sometimes going, oh, I'm not sure I'm ever going to get through this. But having you guys there to help that last time that we went in was huge. It really
we got
made
a lot of stuff done.
We did get a lot of stuff done. And it wouldn't have happened had you and Jaron and Blair not, been there with your dad and I.
It's just, it's the part of, now we're talking about, doing like an estate sale and having people come through to look at all of these different mementos. Like I always joke because I think it's just, it's funny, but it's grandma. Like grandma was obsessed with the Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
Obsessed about it. And she's got like first edition, all of them. There's like, you think that there's only like one story of the Wizard of Oz. There's not. There's 27 different books. Right. And she had all the first editions and the Grimm's fairy tales and like all the stuff. She had Wizard of Oz, like China, and then she has like the very first Barbie dolls, that weren't the plastic ones that you see at Target and, today. They're literally like porcelain Barbie dolls where only the shoulders could move and they were on a stand and you didn't really play with them, So it's like you're trying to go through and figure out, okay, what do we do with like all of this stuff? Because it's a lot of work. It's their whole lives. I will say, I will give Papa credit for labeling everything in the basement with all the boxes. I think I'll bring this one up because I think this is a really funny story. So Bob, again, KNTV Channel 11, doing all that stuff, pay-per-view, C-SPAN, he was just running it. He did it. And he was very organized, which I absolutely love about the man. And so when you go into the wine cellar to the basement, he had all these boxes just labeled with different things. And one day, this was right after Grandma passed away, I was walking through the basement and I was just like looking at all these things. I hadn't really looked before. And I saw this one box and it said Bobbie's boyfriends.
No, you did not.
And I was like, what is this? And so I pulled this thing out and I started looking through it and Papa had photos.
What?
Of all of your boyfriends with you from like when you were a wee lass and like prom and stuff going all the way up.
That's hilarious.
He kept detailed things about it. I was just like, he's watching after his little girl,
Oh, yeah.
I just died. I thought that was the funniest thing.
Yeah. Well, so your dad, the day of the wedding, we're at the Fairmont Hotel. We're up on this double dais. And so, your dad and I, Jeff, are up at the top of the dais and all the bridesmaids are sitting to the sides of us and below. And he gets up to give his toast, right? And in true Papa fashion, he toasts us and he looks over his shoulder at your dad and he said, "You will take care of my little girl, right?" It was hilarious.
I didn't speak volumes.
Yeah, it did speak volumes.
Yeah.
And your dad has.
Yeah.
He's a good daddy.
Yeah. Well, I miss them and, we'll definitely have you back on to check in and just kind of go through, the process of, going through this house and, maybe we kind of like film different segments of it.
Yeah.
And just kind of show you like, this is what you're going to have to go through. So start doing it now.
Now, yes.
It's like the one thing I was upset about was, I was trying to talk to Hema before she went. And I was like, can we go through this stuff now while you're here? And she's just like, no, you guys just handle it. I don't want to deal with it.
Looking at it, do you blame her?
Yeah. Like, thanks, Grandma.
Right.
So, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm proud of you. It's great. Nice podcast. Love it.
Yeah. This has been episode 2 with the Red Room with Bobbie Lynne Ward, my mother. Again, if you want to become a singer and be the best in the game, she's the one to go to. I think you do stuff over Zoom too.
I do, yeah.
Right? So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you want to be the best singer, this is the gal to do it for
Thanks, son. What a guy.
Yeah, well, that's about it. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.